Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Deb and this is DB Designs and Sewing Australia. Welcome to all my subscribers and welcome to anybody who is new. And today I am going to make up my spring racing bag in the Joanna Ralph fabric that I got from my design using this fabulous bag frame, and this is called a kiss lock. So assuming that's because it kisses together, and it actually goes like this so that you can put a chain onto these parts here so you can wear it as a shoulder bag. So that's what we're going to do today. Now the pattern I'm using is by a company called Supply 4 Bag. So that's supply and the number 4 bag. And this is the pattern here, and I've added 4 centimeters onto the bottom. So this is the interior and the exterior of the bag. So this is the outside of the bag and the lining. And this part here, which is slightly smaller, so you can see that it's slightly smaller, is for the wadding. Now you can use either interfacing or you can use iron-on fleece, and I am using iron-on fleece. As you can see that's got the sticky part on it. Now the reason I've got this is because I use this inside baby's change mats, and it's not terribly thick enough for a change mat because you don't want the change mat to be too bulky. So ideal for the inside of this type of handbag that I'll be making. And the instructions I'm using, I will put a thing up on the screen because I do realise that this printout is appalling. And it's the Christine Kiss Lock Frame Clutch, and it's a tutorial and a pattern. And I think that's where I got the pattern from, because I bought all of this from the Supply 4 Bag site. Now, let's go through and see what we need first. We need the lining fabric and the outside fabric. So for the outside fabric, I've got the Joanna Ralph linen, which matches the dress I made, which I also have to make something for my hat as well. So I've got 2 of those so that the bag will eventually look like that. And I've got 2 lining pieces. Remember, this is in the larger pattern piece, which is pattern piece A. So that's the outer fabric and the inner fabric. Now I've already cut these out, and I've put a pocket on there, and I've put a pocket with a zip on there. That way I won't have to take my purse with me to the races. I can just put my cards, my license and money in the zip part of my bag, so it'll be safe. The next thing you need is fusible fleece, or you can use interfacing. So I've got 2 of these pieces cut out, which is my fleece or your interfacing. And that's in pattern piece B, which is here, and it says just remember to mark where your hinges go. Some glue, which I did go and buy the E6000 glue. So that's that glue. Even though I'm thinking last time I made these bags that I probably used a glue gun. I found a whole stash of art supplies, fabric textures, which I went and bought more because I didn't know what I did with them, paints, a whole lot of different sorts of craft glue. So I honestly don't know which glue I was using, but I bought this, which was a recommended type, the E6000. So I'll let you know what it's like, and it needs to be the one that dries clear. You can get one that dries black, and you can get one that dries white as well. A sewing machine, which I have an iron and an ironing board, which I have, scissors, which I have, needle and thread, not really sure why I need that yet, what they call a flathead screwdriver, purse crimper or pair of pliers. I don't think these pliers are going to be suitable, and a fabric pen or a ballpoint pen. And this pattern is for an 8-inch bag clasp, and this is how they measure it. It is the actual width of the frame. So that's where, if you're looking to see, maybe you've got a frame and you don't really know what size it is because you don't know where to measure it, you are actually measuring to the outside width of the frame at the top, because some can be quite shaped as well. Oh, I've got the pieces cut out, and what we need to do now is find out what we're sticking to what. Now, the instructions say to fuse the interfacing or wadding to the wrong side of the exterior fabric. So I've got these two pieces and I've got these two pieces, so I'm going to iron them on. And when you look at the image, you can see that it sits inside the outer piece with an even amount all the way around. So I'm just going to press those onto this piece, these pieces. Okay, so now I've got my adhesive fleece ironed onto both of the outer fabric pieces. And now the instructions say to stitch these two together at the hinge. So you had to mark where the hinge line was. So this is where our hinge mark is. So we're only sewing from this hinge mark all the way around the bottom to the other hinge mark. So that's what I'll do now. So now we've sewn that together, and the top edges are still open. So this part here is still open, and this is called the hinge mark, which is where this is sewn to. So now you don't have to, but I always do, is press this open, because what we're going to do is create the gusset of the bag. So I'm going to go and press all of this open. Okay, so now this is pressed open. We are going to fold each corner to create a triangle. But what you're really trying to do is, where this seam is here and this seam is here on the top, if I put a pin through it, needs to be going through the same seam. So you can see that that pin is, where's the pin? The pin is not coming out through that space. So the object is to get that lined up perfectly. So now I've got the pin going in through there, and I'll put another one on the other side so you can see that put it through in exactly the same spot. So now if we look at that, pin's right in there, and that pin is also right in there. So now we know that's even. I'm just pinching it together with my fingers. So now I've got that in exactly the right spot. I can put a pin across it. And then it says that we need to measure up 1.5 inch line perpendicular to the side seam. Now you can make your bag whatever size gusset you want it to have. So I have measured from the top of this point down 1.5 inches, and it wants me to sew across there. Just going to pin both sides and then see how short it makes the bag. So when we look at the bag, if you sat it, it would sit then like that. That's probably deep enough. So we'll do the other end. And when I'm pressing these things, I am using a Raja cloth. And I have two different Raja cloths. I have one that I use for interfacing or things that may be messy. And that was just my doorbell. Had to get a new doorbell because I can never hear when people are at the door. So I have to get the one with the loudest ring. So what was I saying? I have two Raja cloths. I have my good one and I have my, what I call my interfacing one. And when my good one gets a bit too dirty, and they get dirty like your ironing board cover gets dirty, when my good one gets too dirty, I change it over and make that the interfacing Raja cloth and throw the interfacing one away because they do get pretty putrid and stuff stuck all over it. That's what a Raja cloth is. Now, a Raja cloth is impregnated with dry cleaning fluid, and when you see a genuine Raja cloth will have this checked stamp on it, and when you use it, you need to make sure your checked stamp is upright. So you're actually ironing onto where it says that it's checked. That needs to be face up for it to work correctly. So that's how I iron interfacing or anything that might be a bit messy. So let's see what 1.5 inches down on this side is. Okay, so now you can see if we turn this out the right way, that's going to be the box. So I'm going to stitch across there at the 1.5 inch, and 1.5 inches is just a tad under 4 centimeters. So I'm going to stitch that across, and then it says, once you've stitched it, to trim it to 1 inch or hand stitch the peak of the gusset to the bottom of the bag. I've never seen them ask you to do that before. Makes sense. So I'm just going to stitch that. Okay, so this is what it looks like when it's stitched. And you can trim that off if you want to. I don't always trim it off. I quite like the thickness in the base of the bag. So I might just hand stitch that down there to the seam in the bottom. So that's what they mean. You can hand sew those down. I might trim off a little bit of it and then hand stitch it down. So now we're up to the lining. So remember, I've got a lining piece with a zip and a lining piece just with an unzipped with a pocket with no zip. So right sides together. So now I'm going to stitch this together and turn it the right side out. So obviously we leave this the wrong side out because that will mean that will slip over it. So I'm going to go and sew this piece. So there's the lining of the bag sewn. And I was just thinking back to some other bags that I have sewn before and about how we attach those in here. Now I'm sure that I have sewn bags before where this is putting the bag inside the the bag inside the lining. Making sure those corners are in there. No, that's why I want to do it. Or is it like this? If we put those two corners together like that and machine them together, don't put pins in your mouth. Does that work? See, we can do that, and I think that keeps the lining attached to the outer in a better fashion. So I am going to machine sew that across there. So here's where my machining is to make the gusset, and we'll just stitch out here a bit further and then trim that off on both sides. Okay, so this is what I've done. I've attached those two gusset ends together. Now, I'm not sure. I think this is going to work. Just going to trim it off. Worst comes to worst, I'll just unpick it and do them as a separate thing. And there's the other side. Making sure I've got nothing caught in it. Okay, so yes, that worked. That worked. Now, pulling it all the way to the top, it gets a little bit not stuck, but a little bit harder to get it over the foam. So I'm guessing the object is to have this meeting up nicely at the top. What does it say to do? Place interior inside the exterior. Both right sides are facing together. Line up the edges. Sew around the top edge of the fleece, leaving one side unstitched. If you were going to do that, I would much prefer to leave the bottom unstitched. I mean, it won't matter. So now I've just snipped those parts off because that was not going to work. Right sides together. In fact, I am going to stitch them down by machine. Okay, so Okay, so I snipped them apart and I stitched them. I stitched that gusset down on the inside. And it comes through to the outside, but it actually makes it quite structured, so I'm happy with that. Now we need to do right sides together. The instructions are place interior, inside exterior, or whatever. Both of the right sides are facing together. Line up the edges, sew around the top along the edge of the fleece, leaving one side unstitched. So I think the key to sewing a good edge is going to be sew one side of the bag, which is here, here, and down here, so that you can get well into that corner. You need to do the separate sides separately. And quite frankly, we can just leave like this much open at the top. We can do the sides, but I'm just going to sew one side and see how that goes, because I think it needs to be kept, they need to be kept separate from each other. I'm going to give this a go and then we'll see how it works. Okay, we've stitched it all up and just left a space. Let's flip it out the right way. And I didn't really leave a very big space at all, if my hand hardly fits in it. So I'm just going to push out and push down all of the corners. This is actually a really good tool, and I think it's actually a card making tool that you crease cardboard and paper with. It's this. And because it's not too sharp, it's not too pointy. Some things are too pointy. Okay, pretty happy with that. It's actually quite a small bag. To me, it's as big as a makeup bag. It's not very big. Mind you, the clutch purses that I've made before are actually probably smaller again than those. And you fit quite a bit in it. Now I'm going to give this a good press, and then you top stitch around the opening 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Iron the bag to ease out any wrinkles. And then all of these parts are going to go into there. It's going to be like that. Okay, this is where we're up to. Here's the bag, all ready to stick into the frame. Okay, now the part everyone's been waiting for. How to get this bag all lined, all finished off. Every edge is finished off. Like it's all neat, and you do sew 1/8 of an inch from the edge once it's all together. So now it's all beautifully neat, and when I sewed the 1/8 of an inch, I reinforced these corners as well. And by that, I just mean that I just backstitched a little bit on it, just to make sure it's really structurally sound. So here's our frame. So when it comes to gluing, we actually only do one side at a time. Just going to get some wiping material. just in case I needed it. So we're going to spread a thin line of glue along the channel from one hinge to the other and let the glue dry for 3 to 5 minutes. Now this glue doesn't have a nozzle, which is a bit annoying. No, but I did find a paintbrush that I had in with all that stuff, so let's use that. I don't want to put too much pressure on, that will pop right off. Well, this must not be the type of glue that I used last time. How could I have made a beaded lace one? I made my girlfriend a beaded lace bag that matched her wedding dress that I made her. And shoe stuffers. And I made like 4 other bags. That's better, but I still think I must have used a glue gun. Okay, just going to stick the lid back on that for the time being. That is dead. That's the other bit of that. I've got glue everywhere. Okay. So once you've got your giant mess sorted, okay, it's a sort of glue that rolls, so it'll be easy to get off any that gets on the outside edge of the frame. Now, can I remember how to do it? Let me turn this so that you can see it. So what you're doing is you are pushing the fabric of the bag up into the slot. Okay, so this is working. Just need to be able to see it. Okay, so what I'm doing is pushing the fabric up into the frame And what I can remember about making them last time I made them, which was a fair while ago, is you need to let that side dry before you do the other side. I've got glue everywhere, all over me, all over the frame of the bag, but it does look like it's glue that's just going to roll off. So, yeah, that's just rolling that glue. So hopefully the glue is good enough. It says industrial strength adhesive, clear, self-leveling. We don't need to worry about leveling. So we're going to let that dry and come back and finish the other side. Might try the glue gun. Doesn't say what it's there for. This has, well, sort of dried. But it doesn't feel like a very tight fit. And what I've seen in some tutorials is that you get a piece of string and you push it up into where the fabric is with the frame and I guess that bulks it out a little bit. So I'm just pressing a piece of string up into there with a screwdriver. So I'm just forcing a piece of string in between there and we'll see how that goes. Really where this hinge is that it's going to pull out. I'm just doubling over the string at that section and seeing if I can stuff it all in there. So I probably need to let it dry for longer. So this side feels tight where I did the double string. So I'm going to pop some more string in the other side. Yeah, definitely stronger where it's got the two lots of string in it. Okay, so that's all of that in. So now I want to use a pliers to crimp that area without damaging the frame. Still not very tight there. Okay, we're going to actually let that dry until tomorrow. And just like that, I'm back and it's the next day. Let's have a look at this bag that that did not go well yesterday, putting that first side in. And weirdly, the best glue was this. Oh, it's hard to see that. Gorilla Grip Super Glue. And I found one of the, this is the bags that I used to make. And I can see that I've used that before. See how it's still got glue inside it? Because if you pull it hard enough and you don't actually want the bag part, you can get it out and reuse the frame. And I made a whole lot of these, and I do not remember having that much trouble. And I thought, oh, maybe it was one with just a top clip and it didn't have any sides, but it did. But you don't. The difference with this one is when you look in there, so you can see there's the part that you put the bag into. This does not have a slot. So I'm going with why that was so hard, because I made a whole lot of these and I made them for other people. And I made my girlfriend, I made her wedding dress, and I also made her a beaded bag. Lace and beaded bag in a fancy, quite rounded top bag. Maybe I was just better then. I don't know. But this is what it looks like. I can see a tiny bit of glue there, which I will be able to get out with some pliers, or that's actually just pulled out then. So what you've got to do is make sure this is stuck in. So you don't want to attempt the other side unless this side is really, really stuck in. So I could have sworn I did it with the glue gun before. But anyway, now we're going to finish this side. Let's see how we get on today. Oh, and I am wearing a dress. It has rained overnight, but it's probably like 14 degrees, I reckon, here now. So the rain has stopped. It's still pretty overcast, so it'll probably rain again, but that's okay. But I decided I would wear a dress today. And this is the Freddie wrap dress from the Bold One, which is a New Zealand pattern company. A lovely girl called Freedom. And the fabric is teal coloured linen from Spotlight. So I am going to get this into here. So maybe I'm just trying to do too much at once. Admittedly, when we look at the other one, and maybe if you've not made bags before, it might be a good one to practice on, because if you were doing this sort for the first time, you would really be put off. But this one, because you're only inserting it into the top part here, it was probably much, much easier. But once again, it doesn't have these hangers on it that you attach your chain to. And really, because it's for the races, I really want to have my hands free, so I need to be able to do that. I mean, in a bag like this, you can, of course, to the inside of your bag, like here, you could make some little tabs in your fabric or in your lining fabric, whichever you liked, and have them coming out up here. Now, you would not want to make them thick because you're still going to have to be able to close the clasp on your purse. But you could add your own hangers and then loop a metal ring through and attach your chain to it. I mean, the best thing about the chains is, one, this is detachable, and so you don't see it if you don't want to use the chain. And any other time you can just pop your chain back inside the bag. So anyway, that's enough blabbing on. Let's have a look how we're going to do this one. So I'm going to do section by section. Now this has got glue and all that sort of stuff on it, but you clean that off later. Once everything's dry, and I do recall doing that on this bag as well, cleaning it off. I'm glad I've worked out why it was harder to do, because it's got side slots as well. I've got the glue. I've got a cloth if I need it. And I've got my screwdriver. And I may, once again, use my string. Now, what I have found this, what I looked for this for was thinking that maybe this channel was narrower than the channel in this bag. But it's not. They're exactly the same width. So that channel is... exactly 1/4 inch. Everything's in inches. Clearly it's not Australian. Maybe it's American. And I know that I did not have to put string in these ones. But then maybe the fabric I was using was heavier. I think with the with the lace and beaded one, I think I used toothpicks and I left some of them in and just snipped them off so that they were up inside the frame. But that was quite a different frame. Oh, I wondered if this glue would dry up, but it hasn't. So... I'm just going to put some glue and sometimes you think you're overusing the glue or underusing the glue. I'm guessing only if you made them every day, you'd get so good at doing it. I know my eldest sister, she makes these sorts of bags all the time. So I daren't be showing her the inside of this. I know what she would say. You should have just given it to me and I would have done it for you. Okay, so I've started off with it in there. Let's at least try and get, whoops, to the corner. That's got a lot of glue in it. So this says it goes off in 10 seconds. Well, it doesn't go off in 10 seconds when it's onto metal. And you just get these two little tubes like that. How many grams is in it? Does it say? 3 grams in each one, because really it's a throwaway thing. It's not going to be much good after a couple of weeks. It will have dried up in the tube. I can see a bit of glue on the outside, so I'm just going to wipe that off. while I can, and all the rest I'll just get off. Once it's done. So now I'm going to, without trying to get it everywhere, I don't know whether this is the best glue because it's got a better nozzle. And now I want to take this nozzle off this one. It's practically empty. Well, I've got as much out of it as I can. And try this one. Now, I think I bought this glue from the hardware shop in town. I must say I'm a little bit disappointed with that E6000 glue because I was expecting it to be a miracle glue, and it's not. And I've decided if you want your bag to look neater on the inside, use a patterned lining. I think that could make the bag look neater on the inside because you wouldn't be able to see the glue. And because this is like royal blue, you can easily see it. Well, that side went in much easier with that glue. I tell you what, it does dry in 10 seconds on your fingers. But it's just like any super glue. So now I'm just using the screwdriver to make sure it is right up to the very top of the frame channel. So now I'm just checking the overall bag, and I'll show you how much glue and stuff is on the outside of it. Look at that. You don't want to clean it with anything that's going to scratch the surface. But what I do need to do then is I've got this cloth on here. And this is not a very flexible frame at all. So I'm just trying to crimp it a little bit, especially on the corner, without damaging the frame. When we come back, I will have cleaned it, tested it out, and put the chain on it. So this is the final purse finished. I have cleaned most of the glue off the frame, and still not really 100% happy with any of the glues that I used. I think I will buy some of the Gutermann glue or the Yoo-hoo glue just to see what that's like. But really happy with the purse. To go with the dress. And that's the length of the chain. Now this is a chain I bought when I bought the bag frame from Supply 4 Bag. Yeah, I'm sure that's the name of it, Supply 4 Bag. And this chain just clips off if you want it to clip off. So hopefully the video that I put of me making this, which will be before this part of it, works out, because quite frankly, it was a nightmare. It's made me rethink the bag I'm making for Frocktails. I was going to make a bag with the big clasp clip, but I think I will make a bag with a zip now instead. And I will give my sister the frames that I want done and the fabric and tell her what design bag I want and bumping the table, and get her to make it for me, because she gives me heaps and heaps of purses with frames, and I know they're frames that go all the way around to the end. So when I've got bags I want made with frames, I will just have to be very prepared so that she's got time to do them for me. I know she loves doing that sort of thing, so she won't have any worries about doing it. It's just that she doesn't live around the corner, so I don't want to put pressure on her to make me one for Frocktails. So this is the finished bag. Just wait till you see the messy inside. Maybe I need to turn the light on. So the inside is a little bit messy. Not that anybody would know, because people don't really see the inside of your bag. But really happy with it. I think it'll be a great bag for the races. It is stuck in there really quite tightly. I don't know, because I used what essentially would be like a type of super glue. Still got it stuck on my hands. I'm not sure if it's going to be as easy to pull out of the frame. As I said before, I used to make the other ones, they came across and they went down with a hinge, but the section in the downward did not have a channel. So you actually only glued in the very top, and you could actually tip it up on the table like that with glue in the channels, and the glue wasn't coming out. And I'm sure I used a glue gun, because if it's only got the top channel, it's really going to be much faster to make, to get it glued in. And the glue gun was not giving me enough time to get the piece in. I do prefer the glue gun, because any excess glue you can pick off, or even that, was it called E6000 glue, which I did not like very much. Probably because it didn't have a proper nozzle on it. I'm thinking that's why. So it's harder to control that it's going into the channel and that the amount that you've got in there. But you could roll that. So once it's dry, you can like roll it with your thumb and get it to roll off, which is easier to clean than the super glue, which is the Gorilla Glue, which is what I really ended up using. It didn't roll. It stuck to everything. My fingers were all stuck together. Everything was stuck on my table. And I did have, in some parts of my cutting table, I did have fabric, but the glue soaked through the fabric and then stuck the fabric to the cutting mat. So I had to clean that, and I actually had to go and buy nail polish remover with acetate in it, because the only nail polish remover I had was when I actually had nails put on at the nail salon, which there isn't one in St. Arnaud, so I don't get my nails done anymore. So I had non-acetate nail polish remover, but I went and I bought some, just from the supermarket, some nail polish remover with acetate, and used a cotton bud and cleaned it, and it all came off. It doesn't come off the fabric, and the fabric was on the inside, so I didn't worry about it. I managed not to get very much on the outside, so you can't really see it at all. But I'm sure that'll be great for the races. And I do have a hat that I need to put some sort of a band or flower or something on. But I'll come back and show you that, and maybe even model everything for you. So that's my adventures with the beautiful bag clasp. So I still really do, as much as a nightmare as it was, I'm glad I've got this bag, because I just love this clasp so much. But yeah, if you're going to make one, the sewing part of the bag is the easy bit. I'm glad I extended it too, because if I hadn't have extended it, it would have been about this short, which might look better, but doesn't hold as much stuff. But there's my beautiful bag in the Joanna Ralph fabric that matches my dress. And when I've done something with a hat, I'll show you that. So thank you for watching. I hope it was entertaining. I will have to edit a lot of this out, because I'm going to have to edit out all the swearing. Seriously, it absolutely did my head in. I mean, obviously I got it in there, but this was a nightmare compared with the ones that have just got a horizontal channel and no vertical channels on it. That made all the difference in the world. So very happy with it. Worth a nightmare, but not for the faint-hearted. Please like and subscribe. I will talk to you all soon. Everybody have a great week. I've got one delivery and I'm expecting another delivery tomorrow, so I will show you the things I have purchased. I will talk to you all soon. Bye.